Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of the Ram Report. Today I am joined by Kevin Orcutt, the coach of the Boys Lacrosse team. Welcome, Coach.
Welcome. Thanks for having me today.
My pleasure. Pretty crazy season. You guys went all the way to the state championship. You want to talk a little bit about kind of what the difference maker was this season, why you guys were kind of able to go so far?
Yeah, I think basically for the most part, this was kind of an accumulation of a lot of work over the years. A lot of the kids I've had since like third grade, fourth grade. So this was not by no means an overnight success coming through that way. It was a lot of kids just really like busting their tails. We had a great coaching staff. Grant Heller did a great, and Will Contento did great in the defense. I work with Jake Previtt, and Jake and I actually go back a long time to, I coached him at Cohasset, so that was really good. Mike Schwartz had come in and worked our JV and actually helped us on the varsity as well too. So that we had a really good team of coaches. The youth has gotten really strong around here, and so we have a good feeder program coming in that way. So I'm happy that basically every year there's a chance, so there's a couple kids coming in that might make a difference and do it that way. We were kind of cast into a weird situation this year, and to see where we ended up was actually miraculous, to be quite honest, because we've lost three really, really excellent players, and Rylan McLean, Scotty McKinnon, and Bennett Yule, and our starting defense basically. And the only one that was our starter coming back was Davin True, who was a warrior all year round. And but losing Ryland, Scotty McKinnon is an outstanding player, and Bennett has just kind of risen over the last couple of years for us. It was devastating, to be honest. So Scotty took a shot in the head with a helmet on, but he got air-holed in the first week of the season. We didn't think it was that big of a deal, but it's a matter of the brain, and you just don't know what's going to go on with it that way.
Yeah, especially at that age. Especially
at that age is absolutely correct. And so we kind of went through that. Didn't know, we know we had an offense. I'm more of an offensive guy, and I coached defense. I coached defense at Mass Maritime before. I've been doing this since I was 24 years old, so I've had to coach everywhere. And basically in doing that, I've had to do a bunch of different things, but to think that we would lose those three guys and almost win the state championship is pretty incredible. So Davin True stepped in. He was incredible. Definitely the leader of our defense that way. Jaden Silver came in, was excellent for us. He was kind of my biggest surprise. There were two big surprises, but Jaden defensively was my biggest surprise. I thought he was excellent this year. And then we had Kyle Fakaisen came in, transfer. He came back from CM and was outstanding. And he did a great job. Keegan came in. And he came in and as a freshman was put into some tough situations as a freshman. And he did really well. And then, so that started to solidify it, but it was by no accident. The coaches really did a nice job with him and stuff like that. I think probably our biggest surprise of the year would be in the cage. I think Jake Dernier, who I've coached for a long time, he just kind of, he grew leaps and bounds this year. So it's interesting because we have, I coach his brother Jason, and Jason thinks I don't like him sometimes because it's my personality. Sometimes I don't come off as loving and all that kind of stuff that way. But it's really kind of a growth thing. I'm older, so I'm old school as far as the way I do it, so I don't come off as a big teddy bear that way. But Jason has killed it at St. Joe's, and now Jake is going to St. Joe's up there with his brother, so his parents get to actually see them play together up there, which is pretty cool.
That's great.
But the progress that Jake made this year was unbelievable, to be quite honest. In the state championship game, and in particular in overtime, the kid was just, he was just really, really special for us, and he was just, he just did a lot of really nice things for us that way.
Yeah.
We kind of go up to the next tier basically, which was our specialty, which I think kind of put us over the top. Well, that was a difference for us this year would be our face-off play. And a lot of people would kind of say, like, all right, so it's, we have a great face-off guy in Sam O'Brien, and Sam is awesome. Sam does a great job, but our wing play was outstanding, and basically it pretty much consisted of 4 to 5 guys through our face-off unit, which was, Sam was incredible all year round, taking face-offs, but we had Gavin O'Donohue, who just jumped leaps and bounds this year. Really a huge transformation from his sophomore year to his junior year. And from there, we had another kid kind of come in Colton Bradley. And he plays for me, so I know him pretty well. And he came in as a freshman and just kind of ate it up. So we had in particular, we had a game that Keegan was thrown into and Colton was thrown into, where we were literally taking people off the JV field to go to the varsity game at Lincoln Sudbury, who is an incredible program. And they were cast into like some of the best competition you'll ever see, and they did really, really well for us. On the defensive midfield side, I think we had probably two of our best defensive middies I've got to coach, and Tommy Carroll and Cam McKettrick. Those two were outstanding for us. So those two, just as a unit between Gavin and Tommy and Cam, they were incredible.
They made it real hard to get into the zone.
They are, and Cam had been plagued by injuries over the last couple of years. Tommy's as tough as they get, as athletic as they get. The Lincoln Sudbury game got away from us a little bit, but Tommy got hurt in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the game. He injured his hamstring a little bit, and then Cam got a dead arm. They still played. They played through it, but they were playing at about 50% that way. Not that I'm saying we would have beat LS, but it just put a lot of people in some different situations that way. We would have had to be at our very best to beat an LS. And so that was, the face-off unit was just pivotal for us. Almost to a point where it was almost unfair for us at points, So that was good. The offense was spectacular.
They were cooking.
Yeah, we cooked. So I've had a lot of those kids for a long time, and the nice thing was you couldn't really shut down one person. And I know that Charlie Cower gets a lot of the credit for a lot of the stuff that goes on, as well as he should. And he was an All-American this year, a U.S. All-American this year, which was awesome. Him and Sam both made it through the, I think it's, I'm trying to think if I'm not sure what All-American game they both played in, but they played on the Boston Lax one.
Wow.
Those two both played in that one, and they were both excellent. And we went from there to basically a really balanced offense that was incredibly dangerous. And so Will Rand was, I think he kind of went through the roof this year. And John Gibberti, he took over games, probably one of the most beautiful shooters you'll see shoot out there and stuff like that. At clutch times, as the season went on, he just got better and better for us. Will has always been clutch for us, and sometimes trying to do too much at different times, but his mindset was always so aggressive that we loved it. Honestly, my opinion for Rand could have been an All-American this year if he was going to play in college. He just kind of chose he's going up to UVM, but he's a smart kid, and he just wanted to go to school.
Yeah.
He might play club, whatever the case is, but his talent level is through the roof. And then you have your always unsung hero in Nick Couples.
Right.
And Nick just does everything. Just like he does in football for Orcutt. And just like his older brother, Ethan. I hate to compare him with Ethan or whatever the case is, but just a great family, great people. He just does everything you want. He won't light up the scoreboard, but just wins all the ground balls. And he's had such a good, the group of these kids has actually had such a good 3 to 4 years. And basically, a lot of people have said that, this was a big year for us. But I'll go into that in a little bit about it, but that was the midfield coming through there. And then we had Andrew Robbins step into the picture, and he was kind of our fourth midfielder that would come in, and he had a really good year for us as well too. And he's going to Harvard. He's just kind of smart and slippery and kind of gets through, and had some really important goals for us. At the attack position, we run into, and that was a little bit of a mixed bag for us, was like Charlie would jump down there sometimes, Nick would jump down there, so we were almost like non-positional at times. But when Charlie is on, Charlie's as good as they get. He always goes 100 miles an hour. His riding was incredible. He likes to play defense as much as he likes to play offense, which is incredible. John Sullivan is he's a rising junior this year that has just been amazing for us. A little bit of a slow start to get going with things, but it was a natural thing coming off of hockey, doing his deal that way. But he is like certifiable, like he's real. Like he only started 4 years ago with me, so he's only played, like, everybody kind of says this thing like you have to start lacrosse when you're in second or third grade. It's crap. It's just kind of.
Apparently not if you're a good athlete.
No, it's exactly true. It's he came to a clinic with me in 7th grade, and I asked him how long he'd been playing. He said it was his second time, and he was honestly like the best kid that we had out there. And I was like, oh my God. And then it turned out he lived in Marshfield, and I was like,
you're like, thank God.
I'm a happy boy right now. So, and he's probably one of the most fun kids to coach, in the sense that he's always happy. He's a great teammate. He's definitely our finisher. I mean, his goals to assist ratio it's a little heavy to goals to assist that way, but he's not a ball hog either. He's just a finisher. That's what he does. And inside, basically, we had one of the favorite kids I've ever coached and it doesn't look like he should be that guy, but it's Graham Schofield. And Graham I've never seen a kid take such beatings all the time and get back up. And some of the goals that he gets, he just catches balls that I don't know too many people can catch and score like him. He's just kind of one of my favorite kids I've got to. Number one, he's a wonderful kid, and I get to see him grow. Him, John Gibberti, and Will Rand all had really tough injuries last year, so it really kind of, Will recovered faster than the other two. A lot of it was just growing and stuff like that, but they did a fantastic job of, I don't know, they just kind of clicked this year. Nick has always been kind of the steady, that kind of kept everything steady, but Graham has just kind of persevered through so much pain. And I mean, he score inside, get killed, get back up, celebrate, and just one of the best kids that we've ever had that way. So that's kind of a culmination of the players that we've had this year. Dylan Burho came in there as well too, my backup goalie. He's done a nice job, and I think he's going to be solid for us going forward. But again, kind of going back to the, Jake Dernier kind of stepping up for us this year. I just thought was pretty special for us. So, so from a player standpoint of who really did a lot of the damage this year, and there were another half dozen guys. Like our second line matured really well. I get to be around a lot of those guys on a year-round basis, and they're workhorses. They just need to get kind of fine-tuned, getting ready for next year. But they're tough kids. They're humble kids. They're very different than this year's kids, but that's kind of what I'm good at. So,
yeah.
So that's what I've always been good at. So
it must fill you with some pride to you work with a lot of these kids when they're pretty little, and now see all their hard work kind of pay off in a season like this.
Yeah. It was because it's not to be a jerk or whatever the case is, but we had situations like that. No one's given us any credit, and even this year we weren't even covered in the story in New England Lacrosse Journal this year. We had the best game in the state tournament, and probably one of the best games ever in the state tournament, and there wasn't even a story in it. No one even said anything about it.
Two of the closest games I've ever seen, back to back, really.
Yeah, back to back, exactly. And we went from that to I mean, I won't even talk about the MIA, about the way we were treated by them. But basically, this goes back a while. So I mean, this is going back to this was a rebuilding project that started after COVID, where we got very few kids back. I think we were very lucky our first year coming back after COVID that we had a kid, Jake Mastrangelo, who was a hockey player, that stepped into the cage for us. Ethan Grindle, Danny Kane, among others, some kids that kind of stepped in. And we had a good season where we finished a little bit over 500. Mm-hmm. But what people like, and then basically the second season was similar, but we lost Mastrangelo. He was honestly he was just a natural athlete and one of the funnest kids I've got to coach. Ethan Grindle's doing excellent. Ian Schultz, those guys, excellent job. But basically, I started putting them in situations where we played, like that first year we played LaSalle Academy. They've won 12 straight state championships in Rhode Island. We lost 9-8, with 30 seconds to go. The second game we lost to Duxbury by a goal, and we had a chance to tie it with about 15 seconds to go. And so that was like the first year. The second year after COVID, we were the only public school per se, because St. John's Prep, I don't count them as a public school, to beat Norwell. And we beat Norwell. And so we finished at like 11-10, whatever the case is. So we went into last year being a team that was kind of, oh wow, this 17-17 team, kind of like we're not very good. But if you look closer at the schedule, mm-hmm. you'd understand that we were playing everybody hard, and it's just ignorance out there, and that set the table because this year's team pretty much had been playing this schedule for the last 4 years, mm-hmm. and then last year, no one gives us any credit for last year. But we went 15-5. We beat Medfield last year. We beat, Nauset came down here and they was sunbathing on our field. And they were like the number 3 team in the state or something. And it was 10-1 at halftime. And it was just, our kids just went out in battle. And they finished at 15-5. Our best 2 games last year would be Medfield. And basically, we lost to Severian in the States, but the boys played far and away, in my opinion, the best game they ever played, mm-hmm. And then this year comes and, it looks like it's like this kind of overnight success, but it's not an over. These kids have persevered through a lot of getting punched in the face over the years, and they take it. They're not dirty, but we play hard. No one really likes to play us. No one really likes to play us, and I take pride in that. And it's not because we fight or we're talking crap or whatever the case is. Not that we're not angels either, but we're not. If there's a ball between the two of us, there's going to be a battle. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a battle. And it doesn't mean that we're trying to headhunt you. It just means that we're going to play that way. And I think we keep getting smarter every year and getting smarter every year. And now this group has gone offensively, which means I'm going to have to change my offense around because this offense, like I pretty much designed the offense, it's going to be a very different offense. So, I mean, yes, I've got Charlie back. Yes, I've got John Sullivan back, but I have to now figure out the best way to utilize a kid like Kavanaugh, Medeiros, Hobbs, Pesco. There's a bunch of these kids that are just, they're right there if they want to be. And they mm-hmm. seem hungry. They seem very hungry. I think the bar has been set pretty high. And, I'm excited to see what kind of comes in through the freshman class because I've always been excited about taking a freshman or two to see what they do. Like Charlie Carroll came in and started as a freshman. Sam O'Brien came in and started as a freshman for me. So, and Keegan Holt came in and he was kind of thrust into it by accident, but he did a really nice job for us as well too. So, so overnight success it wasn't, but to see it all kind of come to fruition. And I mean, I don't know if I jinxed myself, but it was kind of the first time I actually said it to myself with about 2.5 to go, 3 minutes to go in the game against Longmeadow. I said, I think we're going to win the state championship. And then there was, I don't know, we had 9 penalties called against us. They had 2. I don't think the officiating was atrocious by any means. I just, we went down 2 men in the last 3 minutes of the game. It's a tough one, you know. In all fairness, though, it was, I'm trying to think who hit him. I think it was probably Davin, because Davin hits everything. No, it was actually Jaden. It was Jaden, I think, and Cam McGettrick that slid hard to the ball. And if we're going to go down, I'd rather go down slant, like taking somebody hard than kind of going soft. And so they did. They just, it sucks we lost, whatever the hell the case was, but it was like the kids played incredible. So I was pretty pumped about what they did this year. So I'm now, it's, I've been doing this a long time, so now it's like, all right, that happened. It's time to move on and stuff like that. So I'll enjoy the memories, all that kind of stuff. But then it's just like, now it's time to kind of like, now it's time to develop my other guys, Sean Greens and all these guys, Nate Cochran's, Connor Withers, all of these guys, to see where they fit into the picture, who's going to step up, who wants to put the work in. One thing we have is most of our face-off unit will be back.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so, and our defense will be back. And I think Dylan will do well on the cage. He'll have some competition from Adam Nutley. And we have a kid, Tim Moriarty, coming up as well, too. And there's supposed to be some decent polls coming up through the 9th grade as well, too. Matt Scott's done a nice job with him. Him and Nutley have done, I think, I'm not sure at what level they are yet, but we'll see soon enough that way. So, I don't know. I think they're in a pretty good spot. So
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're just going to take a quick break real quick to hear from the Jetty.
Okay.
And then we'll be right back to talk a little bit more about the specifics of this incredible playoff run.
Okay.
So we'll be right back. I'm here with Coach Orcutt of the Boys Lax team. Looking for a great place to hang out, eat a delicious meal, and have a drink? The Jetty in Brant Rock is the place to be. The Jetty has all the makings of a great time and features live music and entertainment for you to enjoy. The Jetty. Eat, drink, chill. Welcome back, everybody, and thank you to the Jetty for sponsoring the show. We really appreciate it. If you guys haven't gotten down there yet, please get down to the Jetty. They've got some great food. They got good music going on, and it's just a great time. So we're here. We're talking about the Boys Lacrosse playoff run now. Coach, what's it like for the team? You're kind of like the first 2 or 3 rounds, you guys are just obliterating teams. It's 17-2, games like that. When you finally get to Duxbury, how do you get the team kind of focused in? Because they played you just as hard as you played them and all the other teams you guys have played. How do you mentally get the team focused when they've been absolutely obliterating teams and now they're playing a team that's, at your level?
Yeah, great question. So, first round we kind of did that. Matt, there wasn't as much of, I guess I always go into every game being and on any given day we can get beat. So there's never been, that's just, because it's happened to me. And we've done it to other teams as well. So once we made it into that round of Bridgewater Raynham, Matt Conley, the Bridgewater Raynham coach, is one of my best friends, and they had a little bit of a tougher year this year. But to think that he's not going to be prepared for me is being arrogant on my part. And so we were ready, but to our credit, we came out and we took care of business. We played really, really well, and so that was good. And then we went from there. Walpole, same idea. I was told how, and they were a good team. They had some guns on their team, and our guns were just firing heavier on that particular day. I scouted them a couple times, and they have some players that go in D1, all that kind of stuff. That's kind of the interesting part about us is we're more, as you know, in Marshfield, a lot more multi-sport athletes that way. So, but basically, Walpole, I was kind of waiting for it to kind of get a little closer but they made a little bit of a run on us to kind of keep us honest. So I think that kind of set the mood a little bit for us that, okay, all right, so this isn't going to be totally easy, but at no point did I never think anything's easy. So
Right.
it's just, I don't know, I'm just kind of the bearer.
Never let off the gas.
Yeah, I'm the bearer of bad news, and I guess I'm always referred to as kind of like Mr. or whatever, but it's like, it's just the way it is. I have a lot more experience than most of these people, so it's like, so we had that, and then we go to Duxbury. So the interesting thing about Duxbury for me is as much as I've had interaction with a lot of the Marshfield kids, I've also coached probably 75% of the Duxbury team since they were in third grade. Mm-hmm. So I know them really well, so I don't need to scout them. Like, they can play a different system, whatever they want to do, but I know I knew most of the tendencies of all the kids that way. So this is actually the first year I've ever beat them. Like, I've been coaching since 2001. We went to the state finals with Cohasset when I was there, and like, they were just a juggernaut back then, and they still are a very, very good team. But I knew the personnel and whatever, so there wasn't the level of intimidation. And my kids also know their kids; they play together a lot of the time. So we played, and it was an incredible game. I didn't know what had happened because we went down 6-2 early in that game.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure what to make of what the hell was going on at that point. But all of a sudden, Sullivan got a big goal right before halftime. And I was just kind of, okay, all right, there's some life. Mm-hmm. And then we took over the third quarter. And they had that late run, that late crazy goal.
Yeah, there was 1:30 left. You guys, I think, were up 10-7 or so. And they almost scored 3 goals. It was less than a half a second before that last one went in. And it obviously didn't count, but...
pretty damn close.
What's going on in your mind when that's happening?
I breathe. It was kind of breathe. So there were a couple like things I was just like questionable things I was seeing happening on the field as far as like some pushes on the backs weren't called, and I was like, what's going on? Mm-hmm. But usually you see it happen and you don't think it's going to be a result, and all of a sudden there's a result. Like, we had Sam Ween, who played for me when he was little. All of a sudden is going to the cage and scoring. I got the Hewlett brothers now all of a sudden kind of doing their thing, and we're like, and then we had we did something on the face-off where we got called on a procedure, and we just made a poor play on the play, and now all of a sudden, what could go wrong? There's 4 seconds to go in the game, and then they throw and the kid that threw the ball, Brooks Pena, played for me, and he threw like a strike 60 yards down the field.
Yep.
But it was, we saw all the banter after online and stuff like that. But it actually went on the Lacrosse Network, which is kind of like the big boy of like kind of reporting different games and stuff. But you could actually clearly see Goodwin go. He was in the crease and came out of the crease to catch the ball. And the ball was definitely in his stick. And he's a great little player. And I know his dad. I used to coach with his dad. Dad's a great guy. It was just one of those deals that, didn't go in, thankfully. But,
Not in time, at least.
Yeah, it didn't go in time. And you can say what you want about it, but we were the team that came down from a 6-2 deficit. So that was interesting. The interesting part about that one, too, that not too many people saw was when the game ended, a lot of my kids that played with the Duxbury kids, didn't first off go to each other. They actually went to the Duxbury kids and kind of like consoled them basically at that moment. And it was kind of a cool moment. I went back in time to kind of watch it, and it was like, because these kids are like friends, it's just kind of the way I do my stuff at where I work, what I run at my club and stuff like that. But it was just kind of cool from almost every angle, because it kind of, not that it sucked. Again, I always like beating Duxbury. Don't get me wrong, but they're my kids,
Yeah.
So it's like, whether they play for Duxbury, they play for Abington, or they play, I don't care where they play.
You feel for them.
They're all my kids.
Yeah.
They're all my kids, and I just thought they did really well. It was kind of a touching moment that way, you know, and it was like, and then you had to breathe and kind of get on with that. And then we move on to the finals, and that was a bit of a fiasco. We're supposed to play Friday, and I had actually reached out to Bill Battis about it and said, you know, the weather doesn't look good, and the MIA wouldn't pull the trigger on it. And then they pulled the trigger out, like literally, like we took a charter that day. One of our coaches got a charter for us, and like we got it like 5 minutes in time, so we didn't lose the money on the bus.
We were going to do that game live, and we had to end up doing it like taped to replay, basically, because of that switch.
And it was it's one of the best games you probably see.
Oh,
know?
Absolutely.
And it was just like, and that game just went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, up and down. You know,
how do you manage the emotions kind of as you get into like, you know, overtime, and then it's another overtime, and then it's another overtime? Like, how do you kind of keep everybody like focused and not like letting the nerves of the situation get to them?
We were having trouble because that was the first time that Sam actually had some trouble winning faceoffs at that point. So he was like, I love Sam, and like Sam is great. It was just the Longmeadow kid was competing hard against him that way. So we didn't have the ball very much in overtime. So that was the frustrating thing. So we were just trying to get a turnover at some point during the overtime, try to get a timeout, and they played totally different in overtime. It was really a run and gun game during the game. And then when it went into overtime, they would just control the ball for like 3 minutes at a time.
It really slowed down into like a possession game.
Yeah, and we didn't get it. We would get the ball with like 45 seconds to go.
Right.
And then they would, at that point, you know, our kids would kind of panic, like we got 45 seconds to go in the game. What are we gonna do? You know, and it was like, and they panicked a little bit. Haven't been in that situation. Not many of us had been in that situation. So it's. It was just controlling the emotions, but in all fairness, it was really kind of, the defense just kind of played out of its head, and Jake Dernier made like, I think probably 5 or 6 like point blank, like incredible saves.
Yeah.
And the goal that was scored on us was brilliant.
It was beautiful.
Brilliant goal. I mean, it was
top right corner from like 30 feet away. Like.
Yeah, he was legit. I mean, that was a legit goal, you know, and then it was. It was good. It was just, I just had a problem with the way we were kind of discarded at the end of the game. As far as the situation with the MIA and stuff like that, it was weird because by all accounts, both teams played totally clean, played totally really good lacrosse. Longmeadow fans were awesome. Marshfield fans were awesome. There was no crap going on. For the most part, the officiating was pretty good. It was a little bit heavy against us, but I don't know if that was really the difference of the game going one way or the other, but it was just, I don't know. I just think it could have been handled a lot better, you know? I mean, we played at a stadium that didn't have running water. So we don't really understand that. So, you know, and from a recruiting standpoint, if you've got the top 8 teams in the state, divisions 1 through 4, seems like an easy venue for college coaches to be there and watch a bunch of games to see who people have missed. And no one wanted, the guy that did it didn't want to put the work in. So, I mean, we're at Aspet Valley. No offense to Aspet Valley, the field was nice, all that kind of stuff, but it wasn't connected to the school, so we didn't have locker rooms. We had no running water. It became very anticlimactic when you look at like football goes to Gillette, hockey goes to the Garden. You know, I was a hockey player way back, and we get to play in the Garden. You know.
Yeah.
Baseball played at Polar Field, I believe, in Worcester, and we're at Aspet Valley, and then I think Sandwich and Nantucket played in Barnstable. There was a game. I think the game got moved from the other game got moved from Weymouth to Westwood, and then I forget where the other game was. It was in Burlington, St. John. I mean, it's just like, for the life of me, I don't understand why boys lacrosse was so discarded at that point of what was going on. And there were phone calls made beforehand. I know this for firsthand. It's just, I don't know. That's about the only kind of regret I have. Because we used to do it at Harvard. We used to do it like different things. And
in the Coliseum.
it's a really cool venue, you know. You know, and we've been hearing for years about the whole connection with Belichick and Kraft and lacrosse and Rabel and all that kind of stuff. And I know that Belichick's gone, but he's never really gone from there. I don't know. It was just kind of, it's a missed opportunity for a lot of these kids that just kind of played their hearts out. But, But that being said, the game itself was actually a really cool climb. There were a lot of people there for the field, for the game being literally in the middle of nowhere. There was a ton of people there. We had great support from Marshfield. We had great support from Longmeadow.
Marshfield fans show up.
They showed up good. They showed up heavy. They showed up heavy for us. Our parents showed up heavy for us. Our coaches were great, but the kids were the star of the show, and they killed it. You know, they absolutely killed it. You know, it was heartbreaking at the end. You know, I didn't really know what to say. It was kind of whatever, but
they should be proud of what they did.
They're incredibly proud. It's just you just don't have. It's kind of one of those things that just didn't have much to say.
Yeah,
you know? It's like everybody feels it, and everyone knows it's just kind of lip service at that point, you know. And it's let's just get in the bus, grab some food, and hit the road and go, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, so that was our season. So.
Well, I mean, I'd call that a pretty successful season. 1 goal away from being the state champions,
Yeah, it was good.
It's a little bittersweet, but.
No, I'm totally. I'm good with it. It's like. I'm excited about my next generation of kids, is what I am now. You know, it's like, I know my kids will do well at their next level, what they're doing. I know John Gibberti and Graham and Will Rand and Andrew Robbins and Nick Couples, they'll do well. I've got 4 kids going down to Mass Maritime. I've got Jaden Silva's going to SUNY Maritime in New York. The kids are all going good places, you know. They're going good places, and that makes me happy. But now, my fun part is making an average lacrosse player dangerous, and that's what I'm really good at. So that's what I'm really good at. Sully's good, Carol's good, O'Brien's really good, O'Donnell's really good, but we're not going to be focused on just 4 or 5 players. We got to kind of develop everybody, and that's what I get excited about. It's a lot of work, you know, but it's that's what kind of excites me. So I still need. I'm still in season, so I haven't stopped. So I'm still kind of breathing, trying to kind of do my stuff at that point. So, but once I slow down a little bit, I meet with my kids and get back to work. So. See you there. You get back to work.
Well, we're looking forward to the future of Marshfield lacrosse.
Yeah.
The future looks pretty bright. I mean.
Yeah.
So.
And I just a special thank you to you guys for covering the games. The kids love what you guys do. After games, they're silly as hell. Whatever the hell the case is, whatever they're doing. They love all the different things that they do, so I'd like to thank you guys for that. I'd also love to thank Bill Battis and Lauren for they do a fantastic job, and we had Rebecca this year, and Rebecca was awesome for us this year as well too. So we were pretty pumped to have those people around us to help us out. So it's just I'm from an era where there were no trainers, so these kids will go and see a trainer anytime they can, but it's. I don't know. I thought we had some good people around us, so it was kind of great. So,
well, I wanted to say thank you for being on the show today. It was great to kind of get a recap of the season, kind of get a little bit more information on how you guys did what you did.
Yeah.
And I want to say thank you, Kevin, for being here. And that's all the time we have today for the Ram Report. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If people want to find out more about where their kids can get better at lacrosse, you run a business that will help them. If you want to do a quick shout out.
Yeah, it's hawkslacrosse.net. It's just We're in Rockland, but we have several fields around that we work out of. We are kind of, I'm a firm believer in that not all kids are anointed like gods when they are 11 or 12 years old. And most of our kids will kind of mature. I'm fortunate, part of my business is I have a company called Hardcore Athletics in the Sanctuary, which we're partnered with like the professional rugby team, the New England Free Jacks. I have a lot of professional hockey players that go in there, but I've been doing it for a long time. I played at a decent level of soccer when I had a different body type. But basically, there's 0 to 12. There's like a kid till he's 12 or 13 years old, and then what happens when he's 13 years old till he's 18, 19, and then you usually see another transformation from 19 to 24. So it's just, I have Drew Comesso in there this morning that was a USA Olympic hockey goalie, and I have Mike Hardman that just signed with the Devils, was in my place last night. And so we get a lot and I'm friends with Teddy Donato. We just get a lot of different prerogatives of like what's good with youth sports and what's bad with youth sports. And I'm a big believer in that you can be 15 years old and not be a superstar, but can be like pretty special by the time you're 17. And like, I think right now, my funnest thing right now is watching, there's a kid down at Maritime, a Marshfield kid. And if you follow his success right now, there's a kid down there, Danny Kane. And he went from being like a decent high school player, decent hockey player, to actually like eating it up down there Maritime right now. And he's the nicest kid. He comes into my gym, very modest. But like if you were to tell me when he was 16, 17 that he would be scoring beautiful goals at the college level, I might be kind of looking at you a little bit funny. But I've got to see him in person a few times, and there's a lot of kids like that out there. There's a lot of kids like out there. So don't ever write your kid off. Because you just don't know. You just got to see if he loves it or not, and just kind of go with it that way. Mm-hmm. We have a good situation where we have a lot of very positive people around there that have gone through the ups and the downs and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of cool.
Well, great. I want to say thank you again for being on the show. That's all the time we have. So hope you folks enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. All right.
Looking for a great place to hang out, eat a delicious meal, and have a drink? The Jetty in Brant Rock is the place to be. The Jetty has all the makings of a great time and features live music and entertainment for you to enjoy. The Jetty. Eat, drink, chill.